Should I? Should I?
Also mention that Catherine was on this interview.
Yeah. We ready to start?
Yeah.
I'm first. Am I on? I think I'm on. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming back in for a few minutes. If anybody's out in the foyer can hear me, you come on in. But this is our group up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is all of us except Catherine. Catherine was also a part of our group, but she's back up at Ferris, so she wishes she could be here.
She's in Florida right now.
She's in Florida right now. Well,
She's got a rough life.
it's spring break. I forgot. This was our group, which was a fantastic group of 8 people. It was a great number of people, actually, to have 8 for this first time being in new communities. And we're excited to tell you guys a little bit about our experiences and how it was different from Corinto, but what we kind of learned while we were there. So we're going to go through our slide presentation. These are a compilation of pictures from all of us. What a beautiful rainbow, right? Look at that. That was on like Thursday of our trip where we got to experience a rainbow. So this is also our only picture we realized of our where we stayed. So this is the school in Nuevo Cedro, which was one of the 2 communities that we spent time in. And we stayed in those 2 rooms off on the right side of the picture. Those were the places where we slept. And then straight ahead in the center, those were our bathrooms, and we actually had a little bit of running water showers, which is different from Corinto. We didn't have the bucket shower, we called them, but we actually had a little tiny drip above us. Cold water, mind you, really cold.
Cold water.
And our temperature in this community, one of the differences too is we were up in more of a mountainous region. We were way on the west side of Honduras versus Corinto was in the south. So the temperature was very different, and the climate was very different. The mountains, we'll get to some pictures in a minute where you can see the mountains. But our daytime temperatures were in the 70s. A couple days maybe we hit 80, so very comfortable for working. We weren't looking for shade everywhere we went like we were in Corinto. And we had some clouds and even a little sprinkle one day, which resulted in the rainbow. So there you go. We'll go to the next slide if we could. So our first day, we traveled, first of all, the traveling was quite a bit longer. It was, the plane ride was similar, but then once we got to the country of Honduras, we had almost a 6-hour ride ahead of us in a van, a bus sort of thing. We didn't travel that many miles, but it was really slow traveling. Mountainous roads, potholes. I'm a little tendency towards car sickness. I could feel that that day. And anyway, we spent our first day traveling to the city of La Campa. La Campa was essentially at more of the base of the mountain. We were still up in the mountains, but it wasn't yet to the communities that we went. And we spent our first evening at the organization that World Renew partners with. So World Renew always partners with an organization on the ground in Honduras. Previously, that was Diaconal National, which was the one in Corinto. We have a new organization with these 2 new communities, and the acronym is CASM. It's a Mennonite organization. I forget what all the other letters stand for, but one thing that really impressed me was how the members of that organization really partnered with us. They have a huge presence in the communities. They were the leaders when it came to completing the water project, and they are really pressing and pushing for trying to support the communities so that they can have better health and better agricultural methods and gardening and that sort of thing. So that first morning, so we arrived fairly late in the day. It was dark out by the time we got there. But then that next morning, these pictures here are mostly from that next morning where we were allowed to really learn. And one of my favorite parts. So the couple of people here in the photos, We got kind of an orientation in the upper left there with the CAS leadership, where they talked about the programs that they're implementing in the communities we work with, but also other communities in that part of Honduras. And then the person in the lower right there, his name was Byron, young guy just out of college, and he just has a passion for teaching people. What he has in front of them there is actually a new method to grow mushrooms that he was able to teach the community there. And these are new initiatives. They are working really hard on family gardens, but these are some plans that they have to even promote more diversity in their diets, more health and nutrition. The pen over there on the lower left, they have a plan to bring in iguanas for meat and for eggs. Think chickens, right? But this is just another form of nutrition that they want to include in the diet. So we just had a real opportunity to learn about their initiatives and learn about the education that they are providing to the local communities up in the mountains. One of those, too, was the terraced gardening. Because of the mountains, they were educating on how to do terraced gardening. So in the middle is a beehive. That little box in the lower middle, that is the bees. And that is another, yet again, another just initiative that they are really bringing to have honey available to the people there in those communities. So we can go to the next one, thanks. The other thing we had a chance to do that first day is in La Campa. One of their opportunities is the zip line. So a few of us, about half of us, I guess, took a ride in the zip lines through the gorge there. It was really fun, and it was just an opportunity for kind of team bonding before we headed up to the communities. Just took an hour of our day, and we're able to really just appreciate the beauty of that area. And yeah, it was a fun opportunity. I had never been ziplining like that before. It was kind of 5 zip lines, and it was fun. It was a good team bonding experience, and just one of the opportunities that they have in La Campa. So from there, we headed up to the communities, which you can kind of see a little bit of the terrain and the beauty of the area on the right-hand side, and I think we can go to the next slide too. We just pulled out some of the slides that we thought really just showed the beauty of the area, a little bit of the roads. And potholes, yes. The road.
They try to avoid.
Thus my car sickness, right? But the clouds, the sky, the mountains, just gorgeous. And the 2 communities that we served and we partnered with that the water project impacted, they were the 2 communities were called Nuevo Cedro, which is the place where we actually stayed. And then about a half a mile from that, and many of the people in the communities would walk from one to the other. We all did that walk on different occasions because we did work in both communities. The other one is called Poza Verde. So this is the road kind of between them and the road leading up to those communities. We can go to the next slide. And this was our welcome. So when we arrived, then the next day, after having spent the morning, learning from CAS and doing our ziplining activity, by mid-afternoon, we drove about another half hour or so. That's the road there on the left with where
That's the main road into town.
That is their main road. And then there was a juncture where if you kept going on the road a quarter mile, you would have come to Poza Verde, whereas if you turned left, we went to Nuevo Cedro, and the 2 communities met us at that junction. And if any of you have been to Corinto before, for me, that's one of those teary moments when you just drive up and you see 50, 100 people there welcoming you with these signs that they had made. And the sign on the right, the items that are on that sign were very meaningful. They put a lot of thought and intention into making that sign, that some of the products from their gardens, which they're very proud of, they were growing cilantro and beans, and some of the other items on that sign were part of what they were growing as a result of the learning and the education that CAS had brought to them. So just a special time where we get to get out of our vehicle, and they were so welcoming to us and so grateful that we came to visit them, Some of them had never seen North Americans before, and we got to definitely, people were like, wow, you know, you're tall, Dave. Because the Lenca people are actually very short people and very small stature. So we felt like giants a little bit, and the kids were like, wow, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes. But it was we felt very welcomed the whole entire week, but especially this welcome opportunity that they gave to us. We can go to the next slide, and I think I pass it to Don.
Yep.
These are the work projects that we worked on. We worked on floors. You can see that Caitlin is tying rebar, and you can see that we're mixing the cement. So I don't know who got all the gravel and stuff on site, but it was right in front of the door. We would fill up buckets with gravel mix, 6 buckets of gravel, a bag of concrete, and then we would mix it, shovel it one direction, then shovel it back. Then gradually we dig a volcano, added water to the center, kept mixing the outside out up until it's all mixed together. And then we would put it in the 5-gallon pails, bring it to the masons inside, and then we would keep that going. So depending on how many batches we do in a given place, but that would kept us very busy. Maybe you can go to the next slide. Just another, we prayed with the families before we started the project, and this shows some of the mixing that we did, the mixing and the people that were there, that they really pitched right in and really worked hard with what we were doing. You can see the one kind of towards the left lower with the cowboy hats, one of the masons. He's got it all ready to rock and roll. He's got the strings and the boards so he can work through it. We go on to the next slide then. You can see that's one of our better volcanoes that we formed there. But the idea is to take the loose dry stuff, kind of mix it into the middle and blend it through so that it's all nice early mixture. You can see quite often after we would get done, we'd take a picture with the family on the project we worked to. You can see on the upper right, the mason there who's got his forms there and got it all ready to go. He's got a good portion of that floor done and ready to start the next couple sections. So that's pretty much the project, the effort, just dig and shovel. Anything, Jeff? Got it covered.
I just, go ahead. Oh.
Just said there's, the church paid for 12 floors for the communities, between the two communities. And I think we got 8 done. Yeah, I think we got 8 done. Yeah. So we felt pretty good about that. So 8 homes now have concrete floors.
Well, and then the other thing I was just going to add is that as recipients, they work alongside of, well, we work alongside of them, actually. It's not just us going down and doing this work, but we're working alongside of them. And it was interesting because, like, I think both of our teams, we were split in 2 teams, but the first house we went to, they started at like 5 in the morning. We'd get there about 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning. But they just kind of kept working and looked at us and really didn't know, I think, why we were there, and eventually we were like, with our translators, like, let them know we know how to do this and we're here to help. And then eventually we were able to join right in. But it's important to know, I think, that we're working together with them and building relationships as we go along. So, Caitlin?
So I get a chance, Catherine was actually going to talk about this, but she was not able to be here or send a video in. So we got to hang out with the kids about every afternoon. We had a little, right after lunch, we had a little rest time just for an hour or so. And then the kids would come flooding in the school gates to hang out with us. Here's a couple of the games and activities we got to do. They loved coloring. We did that a lot, for sure. And they also loved the rainbow loom bands. We came home with none left. And that was a big pack. So there's just some of the activities we did every afternoon. It's probably my favorite part, just hanging out with the kids and making relationships, even if we couldn't talk exactly normal, but we try. I think you can go to the next slide, yeah. Also, one of the afternoons, we got to go to the other communities, so like we talked about already. So this is in Poza Verde, which is the town that we did not stay in, and we got to do some of the similar activities with their kids and families. So the little boy on the right, he's holding a bag that we had them decorate with duct tape, and they, even some of the moms got to do it, like the other picture up there. And yeah, you can go to the next one. There were also a lot of animals. Catherine loved the animals. I think she took a picture of every single dog she saw. But too bad she isn't here to talk about it, but here's just some of they were very, like, just walking around. Nope, there's a cow. But it was really, it's just a different culture for sure than, we don't have animals just walking down the streets. But also, just a side note, I did have a scorpion come home in my suitcase, but don't worry, it's dead, so. Yeah. All right, you could go to the next slide.
Okay, so Sunday morning, we had church service, just about the same time you were having church service, sorry. We had it outdoor. It was with all of the local churches, both communities. I don't know how many people were there, but there were a lot of people there. There had to be well over 100 or so people there, maybe 2. They put up some tents for us, to keep us out of the sun. There were a couple of gazebo type places over there, but everyone was just scattered all around. There were great musicians. The 2 guys on the bottom left were playing guitar and singing. There were a couple of women who sang some worship songs in Spanish. We had, I think, 2 preachers. It was also sort of a combined welcome, thank you, happy birthday to Lisa. We celebrated all kinds of things at Sunday service. So that was maybe a little less than 2 hours, but we were having a good time there. It was a really interesting service. I think we had 2 different preachers. The right side, the right 2 pictures. We had 2 different preachers. The mayor was there, and that was interesting because there's a lot of corruption in the government there, and they had been having trouble with that over the years. Well, this is a newer mayor. Not mayor like we have mayors maybe, but a mayor of the local communities. And he came and he talked with us, and he actually is very invested in these communities. And one of the cool things he mentioned while we were there during the service, or during his speaking time, was that they will have electricity in 2024. So we thought that was really cool. Now, just to put some, to put scope around that, I believe the electricity will be run to the communities, but that's it. So the people will have to run the electricity, for example, to their homes and then pay for that. So I'm not really sure how that will work, but at least they'll have electricity as an option, which is not really the option today. But we did see some solar panels there, so there's a little bit of electricity. So that was Sunday, and all through the week, we had the opportunity. Our goal isn't really to go do cement floors, right? It's not to build things. It's to build relationships with the people. And here are some of the people, just a few, that we spent time with, that we got to know a little bit, whether it was through our own struggles with Spanish or with a translator. But top left, we were at a project, and this woman was working, doing her household things, all while we were doing the floor. And one of the things she was doing was shelling the corn. So all that corn is all dried. It looked like field corn to me. And they're just pulling it off the cob, which was a new experience.
I did 1 cob in the time she got 4 done.
Lisa was a little slow.
It's harder than it looks.
But it was hard. I was surprised how hard it was, actually. I tried it as well, and she was really sweet, and she was kind. She also offered us some kind of a drink, or the little oatmeal thing. Was it that family? Different family? Well, whatever. She actually left a corn cob in Lisa's bag, half shelled, half not, I guess as a souvenir, so maybe she still has
But
that.
I did not try to take it over the border with me.
No.
Like your
Oh, you
scorpion.
didn't? And then in the bottom, one of the families that we were working at their home, they allowed the ladies to help with making tortillas, grinding the corn, and then toasting them up on their oven or their griddle. The women that served us meals every day, they were just amazing. I mean, thinking about cooking for, I think in total it was probably almost 15 people when you bring in Cass and all of that. So that was a big effort. And they don't have kitchens like we do, right? They don't have electricity. They have an oven. A big effort, washing all those dishes 3 times a day. We didn't get paper plates or anything. So anyway, there were a couple of babies there. And after a couple of days, they just willingly started handing over their babies to the girls to hold and to entertain a bit. So that was all great too. There was another, could you flip the next slide? In the center, that's Luli. She was my friend. She was super great, and we did a floor at her house, actually. She was 12 years old. She's done with school. Her job was to do the corn tortillas. That was her chore at home, and to take care of her 7, probably 6 younger siblings, to help her mom with that. So she was just a great, sweet little girl. She was always at the school when we were there, too. Bottom right, I forget her name. Is it Maria?
Maria, number 5, yes.
Maria, number 5. Maria and Mario, pretty much everybody's name. We had a lot of Marias and a lot of Marios. Another sweet woman.
That's who I was doing the corn with.
Okay, same woman from the prior picture. And then a couple of kids doing crafts, and the kids in the lower left were the children of the ladies who cooked for us every day. You can flip to the next slide. And I think that's it.
Yeah. So here's some pictures of some of the food we got to eat while we were there. We did have a lot of beans and corn tortillas, but and eggs, yes. So here's just some options that we had. They would plate the food for us. Cass taught them or gave them a meal plan beforehand, so they had everything planned out before we got there. So like in the bottom left corner, those are plantains, salty cheese, which was very salty, eggs and beans. That's a breakfast meal that we would have, and then you always had tortillas no matter what. And then on the right picture, that's a soup kind of below, and then you added the rice to it. There were like potatoes in it, sort of, I think. And then the top left corner, that one was a lunch meal that we had, maybe dinner. And they all kind of pushed together, but there was like this, so they cooked up like mustard, and it's like a green. It's not like the mustard, like the condiment, obviously, but it's kind of tasted like spinach. And then the other picture is some eggs on a tortilla. Turkish eggs, yes. And you can flip to the next slide. So one of the nights, this is actually probably my favorite night of the week, but we got to have the chance to do a bonfire with everyone. We weren't really expecting to do it with the whole community, but plans changed, like always. And they had never had a bonfire before. And we were just gonna have the fire and then just hang out, but then we decided to do s'mores with everyone. They have never had s'mores before, so they were very, very excited. And we had everything set up on the truck bed, like you see in the top left corner. Some flashlights, because it was pitch black. And we told all the kids to run and go grab a stick, and they all come running back towards us. They're all like poking us with the sticks because they want a marshmallow. And we showed them how to do it, but it didn't really matter because all they did was stick the marshmallow in the fire, see how fast they could burn it, run back, and get their chocolate and cracker. So I think some kids came back at least 4 times to get another one, but it was gorgeous chaos. It was really fun to see all the joy and the laughter. And then by the end, once all of our supplies ran out, then We sang some songs around the fire. We sang some English songs for them. Baby Shark, did the actions with them. Yeah, and then, oh yeah, and then we did I'm a C, like C-H, I'm a C-H-R, yeah, that song. And then they also sang a song for us in Spanish, and that was really cool because everybody started singing. They were screaming it, and it was really cool to watch the kids sing along too. And yeah, I think that's.
All right, I guess it's my turn. This is one of the tanks that for the water project was repaired. This one was leaking when we were there a year ago. And so this is actually the second tank in the line from the actual spring. So yeah, you can go ahead and go to the next slide if you want. This is the first or second tank. This is actually the first tank, which is the farthest up the mountain. And this is the first one that gets fed from the spring, which is up on another mountain. We didn't get to see that. Someday I'd like to see how that actually works. But
We have to climb up higher to the mountain to go
I
see
just
that.
got to go higher, yeah.
Sure we wanna do
I couldn't
that.
talk anybody into that, so anyway. But see that water coming out there, this has never happened before because this tank leaked so bad, it never got full. That is actually an overflow. So that tank is actually full and overflowing, and that water that's overflowing, they actually use for irrigating gardens and that type of thing. So from this tank, it goes to that first picture you've seen, to that tank, and it feeds 3 different communities with water. You can go to the next slide. This is the brand new tank that they made, and that's in Nuevo Cedro. It's right near the school, behind the school, our bathrooms there. Yeah, this is a nice picture of the whole group. The community, they're extremely excited about their water. And you can see it evident in their gardens. Top right that's one of the, let me get this right now.
That's the box on the side of this one.
Oh, that's the box on the side. Okay, that's not a distribution block. Okay, well, you can go to the next slide. Where was that distribution block? They show.
If they go back
Oh,
the side,
don't worry about it.
okay.
Anyways, they did, I think, 3 for each community. Those distribution boxes, which is basically stops the water, and there's a valve in there that. Battery's dead. Or maybe it's my clammy hands on there. Anyways, yeah, and then it goes from there to the homes. This is they had extra material left, so they built this right in Poza Verde, thank you. Out of the excess material, and what this is for is basically just for irrigating gardens. And this picture on the right is they're trenching a pipe across to get to the other side of the community for their gardens. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. And this is the fruits of their labor, basically, and a lot of this couldn't be done without the water. It's just amazing what they did in such a short time with the monies they had for this water project. But these gardens are just gorgeous, and they're very, very proud of their gardens. It's hard to get away from them because they want to show you the next plant. The top right is, okay, no, that's fine. You can go to the next one. This is a sugarcane farmer that we got to tour this. The guy up on the left, of course, he's a young man bringing the sugarcane up on a horse. And then they feed it into the press. And then you press it by walking around in circles with that big piece of wood that squeezes the juice out of the sugar cane. And then from then on, it's basically like our maple syrup. They boil it and take the different sediments off and make different types of candy. And that's just another way that they can earn an income. Next slide. Oh, that's it.
Right. What I wanted to add too about the whole water projects is a huge thank you for one thing, because this church donated a lot of that money for it. The mayor that Lisa talked about earlier, of the whole municipality there, had also come on board with that, which was highly unusual, which is why he was at that dedication that day as well. But that money inSpirit Church that you donated, it's unbelievable how far that money went and the things that they were able to build and accomplish and fix. And I don't know if you noticed the water coming out of those pipes, but it's nice, clean mountain water. And the farthest tank up, they do have chlorinated tablets in. So it makes it more drinkable. They do boil it, but yet it's much more usable. And that is nice, clean, cold mountain water. So give yourselves a hand, because that money that you've donated has gone a long, long ways to bring 3 communities new water. And they are just so, so thankful for all of that. So thank you so very much. Now, can we go back to that other picture a minute? This is when we first arrived, and that's our last day back in Camiagua, our proof that we survived it all. Anyway, so yeah, the next page, I just want to thank you all so very much. We had a community meeting that we attended, and what I have here is just a compilation of a lot of the things that we heard from the community, and they asked us to take these things back to you. So from the communities, thank you for helping them, and these were their words, transform our community. This is about community transformation. They say life is difficult, but we keep taking it one step at a time, and they're able to see each little step as a small win, and that's huge, to be able to think one step at a time. They say we're happy, we're content and thankful. The cement floors help us stay healthy and will be easier to clean. You brought our communities together. That's another big thing. These communities, last year when we first went, it was very obvious. This community did their thing. This community did their thing. All very proud people of who they are and trying to hold on to their own identity. This project brought those communities together to where they learned that they can work together and that together they can go farther and do more things. So that's was a huge thing that I saw and really appreciated. They say they're fortunate that we were there, and they're going to miss us a lot, and they said, please come back. They've never seen anything like this before. They've never had people come and help them like this before. They've talked about how much we've improved their lives. One of them even mentioned we won't have fleas coming up on our floors anymore. You've moved our hearts, and you're part of our family. That's those relationships that Lisa talked about that we made earlier, and that, as we said, it's not about building. Some people have said, why don't you just send all the money that it costs you to go there, because then they could do so much more. But folks, it's not about that. Us being there gives them hope that they don't have without us being there. Yeah, the money's helpful, but the hope that they see when they see a group coming is invaluable. So this is why we go, and why we feel the money that it costs to get us all there is well worth it, because it provides them with a hope that they don't have otherwise. From us there as a team, we want to thank you so much for your prayers, and we want to thank you for the financial support that you have offered for all these many years, and now as we go to this new community. And we want to thank you so much for listening to this. And we also want to encourage you to think about some next steps. The communities, when we were there in that community meeting, when we asked what are your future goals for improvement, they talked about they were going to keep all of us in their prayers, and ask that we keep them in our prayers here. So please continue praying for them too. They need roof repairs. Most of them have the 10 roofs, but most of them are also leaking. They would like to fix that main road into town. That one picture that, anyway, it's a major project, but it's needed. Well, that's not the main road. That's the bumpy roads, but those need to be fixed. And they are doing a lot of road work, even on the whole journey, so that's a good thing also. They would love a health clinic in town. Right now, if these women if they have anything, they have to travel quite a long ways. These ladies, if you're pregnant, you have to make plans for probably about 3 weeks or so before your due date to get to the nearest hospital, and just sit there until you have your baby. It's a huge thing. So they would love to have a health clinic in their town. And then there was a teacher there who talked about their needs in their schools, especially she was a kindergarten teacher, and the supplies, textbooks, writing paper, tables for the kids to sit at. They have these great big desks, chairs that the kindergartners are supposed to be sitting in. And anyway, so there's a lot of needs and stuff for the school as well. So next steps for us as a church, please continue to keep these communities in your prayers and these wonderful people there. Help us continue to build that fund. Like I said, we would love this partnership to continue and to be able to continue sending groups there on a yearly basis. And then consider being part of the 2025 team. Hopefully, you got a little glimpse of it, what it was like, and we would love to answer any questions that you have. I do have a sheet up that you can sign, and it's just an interest sheet. It doesn't commit you to going, but just gives us an idea of what kind of interest there is. The dates to be determined yet, we're looking at February or maybe even March next year. So if you sign up as an interested, even if you can, if one of those February or March timeframe works better, you can even put that behind your name. But it's just an interest sheet. It's not a commitment sheet to do anything. But if you are intrigued, want to hear more, sign up on that. I know it's a ways away. It'll be September before we actually go back and start talking more about it. But in the meantime, pray about that, and if you have any interest at all. And like I said, we're all here to answer any questions or talk more with any of you. So thank you once again for all of your support in all of this, and thank you to this team for all you've done. And thanks for being here, and enjoy your Sunday.